I just wanted to say a few words. I used to listen to speeches when I was at all these events, and I was so young, and I was like, this is so boring, I just want to go play. So I know how you feel.
But you're not going to
You're
care.
so young, it's okay, you can talk.
Yeah, so you guys like it.
Yeah, we like speeches.
As I was learning the halachot of Brit Milah, one of the halachot is we don't invite to the Suda, we don't invite to the Brit because one cannot refuse. So we just mentioned the Brit will be taking place. The Suda is there. I wish the same went for davening in the morning. Is this thing working? So I was reading on the Bris Milah book, and in Judaism, a name is it's not a conglomeration of letters put together as a convenient way to refer to somebody. It's a definition of the individual, a description of his personality, and an interpretation of his traits. It may even be an omen to the person's future, or perhaps a prayer that the person bearing this particular name shall live up to the potential expressed in his name. The Arizal writes that the nature and behavior of a person, whether good or bad, can be found by analyzing his name. Even the numerical value of the name's letters is an indication of the individual's character and personality. To label something properly is to define its nature. What one may see as a rusty old spoon, another will see as antique silverware. One may consider random scribblings, another will consider abstract art. I still consider random scribbling. Rabbeinu Batya comments that Adam revealed his great wisdom when he named the species of creation. With his superior intellect, every name he chose, together with the combination of its letters, defines the nature and characteristics of that creature. He named the line Aryeh, the lead Yud Hey, which are part of the name of God, the King of Kings, and the ruler of the universe. Represents the lion's role as a king of the jungle. Adam named the ordinary weak-minded donkey the Chamor, a word cognate with Homer, simple, elementary matter. There is a spiritual connection between the name of an individual and his neshama. The word neshama stems from the word neshima, or breath, for it is the breath of Hashem that gives life to man. A soul's essence is divine, and a person's name defines this essence. It's interesting to note that the central letters of the word neshama are Shem, Shin, Mem, Shem. Name. Some have written that the higher soul comes to the child when he is given his name. Perhaps the first and last letters, the Nun and the Hey, allude to Ner Hashem, the light of Hashem, a term used to refer to the soul as it says, Ner Hashem Nishmat Adam, the light of Hashem is the soul of man. I would really like to thank every one of our family members who traveled long distances to come here. Rachel's mother, Zipporah, my mother, Haiti, my father, Tzvi Aryeh. Rachel's mother was the kvater bringing the baby in. My mother was the kvater bringing the baby out. Rita was her shaliach. So now, Rachel, can you stand here next to me? We gave it a lot of thought with respect to the name. It's one of the most important decisions we have to make. We have decided to name our son Dov after Rachel's grandfather. He was a very special person, and I'd like to say some words in his memory. I'm acting as Rachel's shaliach in giving this speech. She wrote this, but it's a little difficult for her to say the speech considering the importance of the name. To show the connection of generations in Jewish tradition and culture. Rachel's grandfather, Beryl ben Yitzchak, or Dov in Hebrew, was born in a small village in Transylvania at the end of World War I. As the youngest in his family, he had 2 older sisters and a brother. He was named after his uncle, his mother's youngest brother, Beryl, who was 21-year-old yeshiva bacher, when he was drafted by the Austro-Hungary anti-Semitic army and sent to the Russian borders. Jews were abused terribly and tortured by the anti-Semitic and cruel soldiers. He never returned home, and his family never found out what his destiny was. His widowed mother mourned him a year, and then she died of a broken heart. Rachel's grandfather's mother had breast cancer when he was a young child, and despite the primitive treatment that was available in those days, she passed away when she was 10 years old. His father was introduced to a widow with a young girl, and a few months after his wife's death, he remarried and moved to the town where his new wife lived. The orphan child had to adjust to a new environment and make new friends. His stepmother was not nice to him. She complained when he came home from the cheder and asked for food, so he found himself a job, and after coming home from school, he helped an old lady sell soda in the market. He saved the money and even bought himself the tefillin for his bar mitzvah. To this day, the tefillin are still with us. He was amazed of the new discoveries of the new town, such as taking a round trip by the new train system to the closest main city took only a day, while going there by horse and wagon took several days. He did not get along with his stepmother, and at 18 years old, he hitchhiked trains and went to live with his sister, Rachel, who was married and a mother of a baby girl. He wanted to earn his staying there and helped his brother-in-law in his butcher business. In all those years, he would learn at night in various yeshivas and was very educated in Jewish studies. At age 24, he was married to Sarah, and a year later, he became a father of a baby girl, Bluma. When the baby was 1.5 years old, the Hungarians, who were allied with Germany, gathered all the Jewish men into camps and sent them to hard and dangerous labor. Camps, Rachel's grandfather, with a group of other Jews, were taken from one place to another, along with the Hungarian army, to dig ditches for the soldiers. They worked in horrible conditions, 16 hours a day, digging in the frozen ground in freezing weather or in the heat without food, only a little watery soup once a day. They were forced to march to and from work many miles. They were all skeletons, with lice all over them. In addition, they were punished in the most terrible ways, for no reason, just to entertain the soldiers. Rachel's grandfather made the habit of getting up half an hour earlier every morning to put on tefillin and chase shacharit. He could not take the hunger. One night he crawled to the closest village. It was dark outside, and by one house he saw a man sitting by the table. He knocked on the window and showed the man his hand that he was looking for food. Surprisingly, the Polish Gentile, who could easily turn him over to authorities, let him in and fed him. Rachel's grandfather went a few more times, risking his life. Jews were killed or died every day in the camp. Her grandfather could not take it, and one day he escaped. They chased him with dogs, caught him, beat him up severely, and arrested him in a tiny cell. He tried to hang himself, but the rope tore. He was put on trial, and the judge asked him, why did he betray the army and ran away at the time of war? Rachel's grandfather said that he was hungry. So the Hungarian judge ordered to bring him food and warned him that next time he'll be shot. Later on, Rachel's grandfather heard rumors that the Soviet army was walking towards his area and were going to be there in 3 days. He decided to escape again from the group of Jews who were forced to march to Auschwitz. For 3 days he was hiding and kicking grass when the Soviet army arrived. Happily, he ran to them saying that he was a Jew. They kicked him away and called him a dirty Jew. He joined their marching to the south so he could return to his home. One night, the head officer came to him and asked him not to reveal his secret that he was a Jew. He took care of her grandfather as much as she could. Her grandfather arrived to his town and found that everybody was taken to concentration camps and was killed. He lost his wife, child, sisters, and their families. Father, stepmother, her daughter, aunts, and uncles. Her brother and brother-in-law survived. He mourned for a year. Then he went to another area, Romania, to look for a wife. He was introduced to a few Jewish women and chose Rachel's grandmother, who was also a survivor. She was kind to him, and on the first date, she made him latkes. They had